Episode 22, The Rundown. I'm Gabe Henderson. That's Stevie Katz. With the music on the back and the ones and twos. Blaze Vasili's back there helping her. Doesn't have a mic today, but the two guys beside me do. Zach Selby, and as always, Cal Stackwell.
What's going on?
How y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing
today,
all right.
I said tonight. Oh my gosh, it's so dark in here.
Yeah, living it up, living the dream.
We're good.
Living a dream? Man,
Yeah.
It's been a dream for Redskins fans to get to this point that we are about to get to, free agency. It's among us now. I mean, it's already here. Well, I guess it's not already here, but next week, March 18th, it's going to, start getting real around the park. I guess I was about to say around these streets, but it's about to get real around the park. So
It's the best time of the year. Best time of the year.
That is very true. Oh, before we get into it, I know on my Twitter yesterday I said we had a special guest. I know you guys probably think Zach Selby is the special guest.
I am the guy. I'm the special guest.
If you thought it was Zach, then yeah, it's
I
Zach.
thought it was Zach, then yeah, it was. We're not going to say the name, but our guest that we had, I wouldn't say backed out, but he had other obligations, other duties. So he'll be here soon, just not today. But getting right into it.
If you want to blame someone, blame Gabe.
that's
all
true.
I'll say.
Well, or blame Stevie.
Oh, you're right.
There
You're
you
right.
go.
But Stevie
Good
she
scapegoat.
did get us cups today to help us. I guess that's our her way of saying sorry. We got the rundown cups finally after Kyle Stackwell complained for 3.5 weeks. So we're here.
Real now. It's
real.
official.
It's real. We got 3 of them. So no coffee in them, but we do got some quarterbacks to talk about free agency. I'll start off with Teddy Bridgewater. I've been on record saying that Teddy Bridgewater should have been the starting quarterback last year for the Saints in Drew Brees' absence. He went 5-0. In Drew Brees' absence, and I was like, hey, I mean, if this guy keeps winning games, I think you should sit Drew Brees on the couch. I mean, not on the couch, but let him be, a backup and just coach Teddy Bridgewater. He was hot. And now, they franchise tag Taysom Hill, and now
Well, they're gonna put they're supposed to put like a first round.
like a tender on him. Yeah, franchise tag
which is
the wrong
similar.
word.
Yeah.
So at the same time, though, that opens up the market for Teddy's Bridgewater. I mean, he's a free agent now, and it's an option for a lot of teams. I'm sure he's going to demand a lot of money, but at the same time, is he a starter? Is he a backup? We haven't seen what he truly can do for 16 games other than his rookie season in Minnesota. And then when you look at that season, his first 2 seasons in Minnesota, who was his coach? Scott Turner. Scott Turner's the OC here, so there's some familiarity with that. I mean, we know what Teddy Bridgewater's done as a backup. I mean, I feel like, with Ron Rivera saying, he wants to have a veteran backup, somebody that can come in and compete, push Dwayne Haskins, push Alex Smith. I think Teddy Bridgewater is that guy. That's just my one free agent. I know it's, so many intricate details that go into it, but for me, that's a guy to look at. What about you guys?
Well, I mean, for the side, I get what you're talking about with Teddy Bridgewater, but are you really going to replace Drew Brees? I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer.
I was gonna say you're gonna.
It was a
bench
hot
Drew
take,
Brees?
bro. It was a hot take, but like every week I was like, all right, watch Teddy Bridgewater win this week. And he kept proving me right. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, Drew Brees, what he's done for this city, you can't bench the guy, but I was on right. it was a hot take, so whatever.
I respect your opinion, but you're probably wrong.
I've been called crazy for that opinion.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Well, for me, I think I got to go back down south to to Tennessee and go to Marcus Mariota. I mean, he was there for 5 years with the Titans, drafted number 2 overall, and he showed a lot in those 5 years. I mean, he took him to the playoffs, had like 4 straight 9-7 seasons, but he did also it was never really able enough to get him a second contract because he always did just enough to say, okay, I'm the starting quarterback for the Titans, but he can never take them up to the next level, and he's had injuries throughout his career. I mean,
It's like a leg. No.
well, I laid it out in the story. I think it was last week, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he tore his MCL rookie year, and then he broke his leg in his second year, and then
He had the nerve damage
Yeah,
in
had
his hand.
nerve damage in his hand. It's a freak accident, but it happens like that. I think he needs a second chance somewhere else to succeed because after all that he went through, it's time for him to move on and see if he can find somewhere else to be. And I think he would really work out well just with his playing style in the Redskins offense.
Interesting because I do agree with you, but at the same time, he hasn't. I don't think Ryan Tannehill has showed enough other than not throwing many interceptions in the games that he started. But I mean, you look at the stats. Granted, Marcus Mariota only threw for, like 12,700 yards in his 5 seasons. That's not great. But at the same time, you got a Ryan Tannehill. I feel like that's a battle in Tennessee also, but it's going to be interesting to see what Marcus Mariota can, demand, what his future is going to look like with whatever team he's on. But Kyle, for you, who's your guy?
Well, I just want to say to start that I think those are the best options. I mean, we talked to Coach Rivera at the Combine in Indianapolis, and we asked him, hey, what kind of competition do you want for Dwayne Haskins going into the season? And he said, very competitive competition. And so I feel like Bridgewater and Mariota are both guys that have been starters before, could probably be starters in this league in the right situation, but they're also two guys that are going to come in here and really push Dwayne and challenge him. And if they come in, he's going to know, hey, I can't just coast. Not that he would anyway, but there's a guy here that is hungry for a starting job because they both had it before. Yeah. So I think those are two really good options. I mean, a couple other guys that Zach mentioned in his story. We did a free agency series on Redskins.com, so check that out. But Phillip Rivers, spent his whole career with the Chargers. Yep. I don't think you want to come here, and Zach also said that just because, I think he's 38 years old, and a guy at the end of his career would probably want to go to a team that is this year looking to contend for a Super Bowl. And as much as Coach Rivera has brought in here so far, they don't have those expectations right now. Another guy on the other side of it who would probably definitely be a backup would be A.J. McCarron, who you also mentioned. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think it's going to say a lot about what the coaching staff, how they feel about Haskins based on the quarterback that they bring in. Because if they bring someone in like Mariota and Bridgewater, okay, this is real. This could be a competition for the starting job. If they bring in someone like A.J. McCarron or someone else, then that says more that Haskins is probably the guy. So it's really interesting, and there's a lot of options out there, and we'll see what happens next week.
I mean, having a quarterback, you got to have some receivers to throw the ball to, and I feel like this receiver class of free agents is pretty deep. You got your Amari Coopers, A.J. Green, Devin Funchess, Randall Cobbs, your Robbie Anderson's. Robbie Anderson's the guy probably for me that stands out the most, simply because of his height. He's 6'3", not the most bulky guy, but 6'3", and he runs a 4.36, and he's been getting better every single season. What he's done for the Jets and that organization is to be mentioned. I mean, the guy is a deep threat, and having your Terry McLaurin's, your guys on the outside, Kelvin Harmon, Steven Sims in the middle in the slot, having a taller, deep threat, fast guy that can extend the ball down the field. I think that's key for the Redskins, and I feel like that would be a good pickup. That's just my guy. I think Devin Funchess, his familiarity also with Ron Rivera, playing with Ron and the Panthers for 4 years. You got that, but at the same time, I think Robbie Anderson will be a clutch signing for the Redskins.
Yeah, and going back to another guy you mentioned, Randall Cobb. I mean, he not only does he bring a lot of it, like he's still young, but he brings a lot of experience. Played at Green Bay and then went on to play for the Dallas Cowboys, and he brings a lot of special teams abilities too. I mean, in his rookie year, he was a big kick return guy. And I know that's probably something that the Redskins are always looking for, especially Ron Rivera talked about. He wants position flex. That's something he values very, very much in all of his players. So if he can add that along with what he does on offense, it should be very interesting to see what he could do with Dwayne Haskins. I mean, he's mostly been a slot guy for most of his career, but he could be that number 2 guy. I mean, he doesn't have the size that, somebody like that you mentioned, but he does have the hands, being able the catchability, I guess you could say, to really open up the playbook a little bit more.
I just think the Redskins just need that's a great. I mean, you made some really good points. Just for me, I just think the Redskins need that red zone threat. But Kyle, for you,
yeah, I wanted to talk about Devin Funchess really quick. Obviously, he's not as productive as an Amari Cooper or an A.J. Green, but he's a guy that, like you said, has a familiarity within Coach Rivera's offense and Scott Turner and Norv Turner. And he's a bigger guy. He's more of a possession receiver. He's a red zone target. So I think he would pair really well with Terry McLaurin while also being able to bring those younger guys along because, I mean, he's only been in the league for, I think, he just finished his first contract, but he still has all that experience over the other receivers who were all rookies last year. So I think someone that's a cheaper option that already knows this coaching staff, he would be a good idea.
Connect with the Redskins this offseason. Follow Redskins on Instagram and Twitter for team news updates and exclusive Redskins content.
Sign up for FanDuel now and get $5 in total bonus. Just make your first deposit to get started, and you'll get an extra $5 in site credit. Go to FanDuel.com/FFT or download the FanDuel app.
Redskins defensive lineman number 93, Jonathan Allen, hates to lose. So he's teaming up with Papa John's and you to help donate to Sasha Bruce Youth Work, helping homeless children in our region every day. Team 93 needs you to make it a winning day for your family and these special children. You'll get a large 2-topping pizza and an order of wings for just $20. And Papa John's will donate 93 cents to Sasha Bruce's Youth Work for every single order. Play to eat, play to give, but play to win, because nobody wants to lose. I think the tight end position is, one of those positions that's probably number one on the list of needs for the Redskins going into the 2020 season. It's not the deepest tight end class, but there are some guys that I'm pretty sure the Redskins will go after, before they go for a tight end in the draft. You got your Austin Hoopers, your Hunter Henrys. You wrote a story on.
I covered the tight ends on. We can check out on Redskins.com, and I talked a lot about Hooper and Hunter Henry. Those are two of the top guys on my list, and they're both young, very attractive free agents that a lot of teams, not just the Redskins, if they want him, they're sure to have a lot of suitors out there for him.
My favorite tight end on this list, in addition to Hunter and Austin, is Eric Ebron. Having an athletic guy like that, you wrote it in your article also. You talked about Eric Ebron also, but I just think, you see his stats last year, only 378 receiving yards, and you're like, he's not the guy he once was, but he can still make those plays. His time in his time in Detroit, you saw him making those plays. What he's done in this NFL, he's been in the top 10. He's been a top 10 tight end for the past. His entire career, in my opinion. Yeah. He's a Pro Bowler. He can do everything you can do, everything a receiver can do. I think the big thing for him is just his drops. His drops are, a big question mark, only averaging 62.9% catch percentage over his career.
It's a big knock. It's a big knock, especially in these modern offenses that require tight ends to be not only attached to the line of scrimmage, but also as a slot receiver, too.
But if I had to choose anybody to replace Jordan Reed, Eric Ebron would be the guy. But who's your favorite tight end of the bunch?
I really like Austin Hooper. Okay. If you look at what he's done, he kind of became the top option recently. But if you look at some of his stats, he's gotten better in almost every category, every single season that he's been there. And then this last season with him just peaking essentially, and he's a guy that you can do a lot with. He catches the ball. He won't say he has as many yards receiving as Ebron does, but he does have the better hands.
He's reliable.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do a lot with him. You can attach him. You can bring him out there. He's also a very good blocking tight end as well, and that's something that can be valuable too, considering that you have Geis, AP, and Bryce Love back there in the backfield. So you need that kind of guy especially tight end, where you can do a lot of different things with. They're almost like a Swiss Army knife in a lot of ways. If your offense is going to be dependent upon how successful they can be.
Yeah.
If you want to have a good play action game, you have to have a good run game, and having a good run game involves the tight end being able to block, and having a versatile tight end that could block and go out for routes and be respected in the pass game. Also, I think that's what you have to be a successful team, is a really good tight end.
Yeah, I think that the guys you mentioned, if the Redskins, those are the higher end guys. So those are the top three, the three most expensive. So I think that's one way that they could go. They could decide to pay up. They have enough cap space. But another way that they could go is a cheaper option, and then
or the draft
a guy. I would say a combination of that. So a guy that comes up for me would be Vance McDonald. Okay. And he's older, he's 30 years old, but he doesn't have the same name recognition. But if you look back at his stats, especially when Ben Roethlisberger was QB the past 2 seasons before this one, he was pretty productive. And so if they could bring someone like that in that could fill the gap right now, fill that need for the time being, and then you go and draft a tight end in the 3rd round, because there's a lot of tight ends available, and you have a guy like Vance McDonald coach up these young guys. So I'm not sure if that's the route they want to take, but that's definitely an option if they don't want to pay up for those top 3 guys.
Moving to the defensive side of the ball, I think defensive line, I don't think that's a big need for the Redskins. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
I think the linebacker position is of need, but the safety / cornerback position is in my opinion, the biggest need on this defense. So let's start with those guys first. Anthony Harris from the Minnesota Vikings is a guy that stands out, but probably my favorite person on this list is Justin Simmons, free safety for the Denver Broncos. What he's done in the NFL. Just his stats alone, he's gotten better every single year. Last year, if I can look up his stats, he had 94 tackles, 4 interceptions, 15 pass breakups, and he was second team All-Pro last year. So just that alone, coming off his rookie contract, I think he's going to demand a lot of money. And as a free safety, I think the Redskins, they're going to attack that position this offseason.
Yeah.
For you, who's one of your guys?
Well, I have to go with Bradbury.
Okay.
I think he's going to be a very interesting option. One, because he has that relationship with Ron Rivera. I mean, Ron Rivera is a very big defensive guy, so he knows how to use Bradbury and how to make him the most effective. And you look at some of the stuff he's done. I mean, the Panthers weren't like that great on defense last year, but one of the big standouts was him, and he's going to be that top guy this year. I mean, and now the Redskins have been the rumors are that they're interested, but you really don't know for certain. So, but the history is there, and you just have to think, well, if he can get Bradbury back to come over to DC, then things could be really, really good on this defense.
Yeah, I mean, he was also on the record of saying, I would love to come to Washington. I would love to play with Coach Rivera again. So that would definitely make sense in a lot of areas. Some other guys, a high-end guy at cornerback would be Byron Jones from the Dallas Cowboys.
Great cover corner.
He might reset the market. He probably will. So are the Redskins willing to pay that? Another guy, Chris Harris Jr. from Denver Broncos, a little older, a little cheaper. And then a guy that I'm looking at that used to be on the Redskins would be Kendall Fuller. So
A lot of fans are high on him.
Yeah.
So he's a local guy. I mean, grew up in Olney, went to good counsel, drafted by the Redskins, and he was part of the trade with Alex Smith. So he's been in Kansas City the past 2 years. But he's another guy that if they're looking to go cheaper, he's someone who's been here before,
Right.
and he's a local, and he just loves the area, and it could just make sense. And then they can go and spend at other positions. But that's why all this is so interesting, because they have so much space, so it's like where are they going to pay up versus where are they going to try to save some money. So that's what is going to be interesting to see about next week.
The linebacker group is pretty deep too. Kyle, you wrote an article on top free agent linebackers. You put in Corey Littleton, Joe Schobert, Danny Trevathan. I don't know. I think I just screwed his name up.
Trevathan.
Yeah. Who out of the list that you wrote, who's your favorite linebacker on that list that you think is possible that the Redskins can get?
Yeah, I think my favorite, and he's probably going to be the most expensive, is Corey Littleton from which obviously that makes sense, from the Rams. And just because, I mean, he's not only a tackle machine, and he's just been so consistent in the past 2 years, but he's a really good coverage guy. And something that John Bostic and Cole Holcomb struggled with a lot last year was coverage. So to bring a guy in like that, and you can slot him, at the will linebacker, and he's a 3-down guy. You don't have to worry about him third downs, losing a tight end, losing a running back, if he needs to cover a wide receiver. So I think if they're looking for someone to really shore up that portion of it, he would be huge. And then these other guys are more of run stopper type guys, but who stood out to you, Zach?
I am going to go on the opposite side and go with a little bit of an older guy in Trevathan.
Okay.
I think, the biggest thing, again, is his relationship with Jack Del Rio. Because the big thing about, switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3 is you need guys on your team who know, one, how that works, and two, what your defensive coordinator wants out of that particular style of defense. And he knows. He gets it. And not only that, but he's been around to a lot of other places as well. So he can be a coverage guy. He can also be a pass rush guy if you need him to, as an extra rotation person on that amazing pass rush that they have. So he's going to be able to do all of it. He's not going to be like your consistent starter that you maybe want, but he's going to be someone who can be a role player who can let those other younger pieces that they have, like Cole Holcomb, rest and can keep things fresh consistently throughout the game.
Did you know that the Washington Redskins are sponsored by Koch Industries? That's KOCH Koch. Their 67,000 U.S. employees make a lot of things that make game day better. Gurner Turf, they make that. Stronger paper products for tailgating, they make that. Oh, and electronic components and TVs and smart devices so you can watch a Redskins victory anywhere? Yeah, Koch makes that too. See all they make for on and off the field at kochmakesthat.com.
Looking for another chance to win? The 100K Scratcher replay from the Virginia Lottery is exactly that. Now through March 31st, any non-winning Virginia Lottery Scratcher offers a shot at winning $500 in a daily drawing or even a $10,000 grand prize. Here's the lowdown. Any non-winning Virginia Lottery Scratcher can be entered into a daily drawing. In each daily drawing, 2 players will win $500 each. Every entry into a daily drawing is automatically entered into the grand prize drawing, which is set for April 7th. On April 7th, one lucky player will win $10,000 grand prize. All entries must be entered either via valottery.com/replay or the Virginia Lottery app. The fun doesn't stop if you don't win on your Scratcher. Just replay it with the 100K Scratcher replay. Visit valottery.com/replay for more information. The odds of winning a prize in the $100,000 Scratcher replay promotion depend on the number of entries received.
All right, we just discussed all these free agencies. We can't let the podcast go by without announcing other free agency news. Josh Norman just signed a 1-year, a $6 million deal with the Buffalo Bills. I asked Ron Rivera a couple weeks ago, has he talked to Josh Norman since he released him and why he released him? And it makes sense now. I feel like it's all coming into perspective now. It gives signing with the Bills now gives Josh an opportunity to get up there, learn the system, get adjusted to who his teammates would be, and just learn. I mean, I feel like Josh, he was somewhat ready for a new start, somewhat ready for the next beginning in his football career, and I feel like this move to the Bills is good for him.
Yeah, I think it's. I just hope that he does well with them, because just in the limited interactions I've had with him, he's a good dude, and I mean he still has that ability to be a good corner in this league. I just think there's sometimes for every player where it's time to have a new situation and a new scenario, and he's definitely got that with the Bills, reunited with Josh McDermott, and I think that's going to help him out a lot to show that he can still be one of the top corners in the league.
For you, Kyle?
Yeah, Norman stuff. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I mean, wish him the best.
Yeah.
I think that's a good situation, especially because they have a lot of good cornerbacks there, and also the head coach there is McDermott, obviously defensive coordinator in Carolina. So I think it's a good fit for him, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does. Just like other odds and ends, just to tie up updates and stuff. One would be franchise tagging. So the news yesterday was that they moved the franchise tag. Well, they moved the CBA vote back, but they also moved the franchise tag deadline back. So now it's, instead of it being Thursday, it's on Saturday.
Is it Saturday?
I think it's Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
CBA
Yeah.
is
The
Monday.
vote is on Monday.
Yeah, gotcha.
But that's important to Redskins fans because you have Brandon Sheriff, and Coach Rivera has gone on the record and said we want him back. We're going to try to get a deal done.
Said he want both guards back.
Yeah.
too.
Eric Flowers too, yep. But with Sheriff, if they can't get it done by the time free agency starts, then they'll put him on the franchise tag, presumably, and then try to figure out a long-term deal. So that's just something to keep an eye on over the next few days, because that news, if it's going to happen, it will happen by Saturday. Then the other thing is, I know we've talked so much about the draft, but in the 2 weeks since the combine, I've looked through all these different mock drafts, and so there's at least 5, some of which are bigger outlets, some of which are smaller, that have Tua Tagovailoa going to the Redskins. And I mean, me personally, and you're obviously shaking your head.
Yeah.
I think the choice is Chase Young. I think we're all pretty much in agreement with that.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting to note that the stuff that came from the combine,
Chase Young or Chase Picks?
I like that. I like that a lot. So don't chase Tua.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was interesting and worth mentioning. Just because, I mean, one of them was like a 3-round mock draft on NFL.com. So that's about as official as you can get.
Yeah.
So that was just interesting and worth mentioning.
Starting to get real. It's picking up. Free agency starts next week. The draft's coming up. I feel like this is like the best time of the year for just fans in general.
It's like Christmas.
Exactly.
It really is.
Because you're starting to get the presents are coming. The presents will be here.
Stuff's happening
by the end of April. So it's getting real. Going back to your comments about Brandon Sheriff, just both guards, it shows you that Ron Rivera is a man of his words. He's trying to build the team around his core players. Brandon Sheriff is a core player. Eric Flowers, if they sign the deal with him, if that's something that goes forward, that shows that he's one of the core players that Ron Rivera wants to build this team and this offense around.
Yeah, those two guys were probably two of the best offensive linemen for the Redskins last year. I mean, Flowers comes from the Giants, moved from tackle to guard, and it seems like he just had a resurgence of his career, and that doesn't always happen, especially with offensive linemen. It's not always easy to move from one position to the other.
For sure.
And Sheriff is Sheriff. I mean, he's a quiet guy, but he says plenty on the field, which is how he plays, and it would be great. I think I speak for everybody on the team that say it would be great if we can get both of those guys back.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, before we get out of here,
where can fans tune in?
Where can they tune in? I also have something else to say, but
okay.
They can tune in. They can watch us on YouTube, watch us on Redskins.com, Redskins app, listen Apple Podcast. I saw we got a couple more ratings, which is 5-star ratings. So I don't know who's doing that, but exactly. Stitcher, Google Play. Yeah, probably Stevie. But then before we get out of here, there is some sad news with the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So, Gabe Henderson will be leaving us.
Yeah. So next Friday's my last day. I won't announce where I'm going, but what I will say is, I'm appreciative of everybody, appreciative of you guys, appreciative of everybody here. It's been an opportunity. The opportunity that was, awarded to me is a step in the direction that I want to continue to take my career. The Redskins have been extremely valuable and extremely helpful in helping me, get to where I am today. And I mean, I literally don't take any credit. You guys know I hate talking about myself. But like I said, I'm thankful. I'm so humbled to be here alongside you guys, Stevie, in the back on the ones and twos. Just it's been a pleasure, man. I can't thank the Redskins organization enough. Thank you, Redskins fans, for just trusting me with some of your favorite players. I hope I did a good job. It's been a ride. I'm just like I said. I just hope I treated you guys well. I showed you guys these players, showed some personalities. You guys are in good hands with these two guys right here. Zach Selby came along and just.
That's right.
You
taking it.
You ran right in. You ran. I mean, you hit the ground running. And Kyle, Kyle is going to be Kyle. So, fans, these two guys will be your two guys going forward. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm excited to see what you guys do. We've talked off camera. It's real. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Mike's about to fall off.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Ever since I got here, you've been a great friend, great coworker, and you got a great opportunity in front of you. And I hope whatever you go next, you kill it, just like you're doing it here.
Appreciate it, bro.
Seriously, like one of the hardest working guys I know. I mean,
likewise.
Everyone doesn't know what you do on the video editing side and the shooting side, and you do so much of that, and then what you've done with on camera with all the one-on-ones and all the stand-ups and us starting this podcast together and you starting Redskins Park Drive, which has been such a massive hit and has really filled a need that Redskins fans have been wanting, and you just gave that to them. So I'm really going to miss you, man. I mean, you pretty much showed me the ropes in terms of doing audio, video, on camera kind of stuff. So excited to see what happens going forward, and I'll definitely be following along.
End of an era, man. End of an era.
End of an era. End of an era. I appreciate it. It's been real, guys. I'll let you sign us out.
No, you got to do it. It's your last one.
Man. Well, for Stevie Katz, Blaze Basil, Kyle Stackpole, Zach Selby, I'm Gabe Henderson. This is episode 22 of The Rundown.
Are uninvited pests ruining your plans? Let PMSI, the pest control partner of the Washington Redskins, handle it for you. Call today for your free inspection, and they'll work around your schedule to provide you the best solution possible to defend your home territory against pests of all kinds, including mold. Visit mypmsi.com for the game plan to control the pests on your home turf. That's mypmsi.com.
At Coke, our 67,000 U.S. employees make things that make your game days better, like fertilizer for greener turf and stronger paper products for tailgating. Viewing the game from your couch? Coke also makes the electronic components in TVs and smart devices so you can watch your Redskins victory anywhere. Coke, we make that. See it all at KOCHmakesthat.com. That's CokeMakesThat.com.
The time for adventure is now. And if you want a car as exciting as your lifestyle, then it has to be an all-wheel drive Honda SUV. With more features, the CR-V has standard Honda sensing, more room for friends, the Pilot has seating for 8, more comfort, the HR-V has available heated seats, and more rugged. The Passport is built for adventure with ample cargo space and hidden storage compartments. So no matter when adventure calls, your Honda will always be ready. See your local Honda dealer today.
Redskins fans, this is Darryl Green. After 20 years of being privileged to don the burgundy and gold on the football field, I've added another team's colors to my collection. For the past 16 years, I've proudly adopted the green and blue of Main Street Bank. Whether I'm using their simple-to-use mobile banking or dealing with their incredibly helpful staff, Main Street Bank always makes things easy for me and all of their customers. To find out all the ways they can help you, visit us at mstreetbank.com, member FDIC.